First World's Fair was held in Hyde Park, located in London, England. It was called the Great Exhibition. It was created by Prince Albert, married to Queen Victoria. He made it to encompass all the nations of the world into one fair. It was held in the famous Crystal Palace.
There are two types of World Fairs, an unregistered and a registered. Unregistered are usually specialized and held internationally, and are also smaller and cheaper. Plus, they're shorter in duration. They usually only center on one theme, unlike universal or registered World Fairs that are centered on global themes based on human experiences. Registered World Fairs are held less often than unregistered because they are more expensive and are longer to hold. In addition, there are international horticultural exhibitions, which showcase many plants and trees from other countries. The next horticultural exhibition is going to be held in Venlo, Netherlands.
Every World's Fair has its own unique theme. For example, the Vancouver Exposition was centered around transportation, which included its famous SkyTrain. And in 2008, Saragosa's World's Fair, the theme was Water and Sustainable Development, which included a brand new water tower.
World Fairs are held based on the BIE, which is the Bureau of International Expositions. It was formed in 1928 by 31 nations who wanted to determine when and who would host each World Fair. World Fairs are hosted every 5 years and usually last about 6 months. But the BIE sometimes doesn't follow their own rules because some World Fairs are not hosted every 5 years but every other year. For example, the next World Fair is going to be held in 2012.
Welcome to Chicago. In 1893, Chicago hosted the World's Fair. You beat out Washington, D.C., New York City, and St. Louis to host the World Fair. Chicago had many carnival rides, but the one that stood out the most was the Ferris wheel, created by George Ferris. The original Ferris wheel was the one used in the 1893 Chicago's World's Fair. It was 260 feet high. It had 36 cars and could accommodate 60 people. After the World's Fair was over, it was moved over to the north side by private business.
The expo, which was held on the Midway Plaza, was in the neighborhoods of Hyde Park,
Jackson Park Highlands, and Woodlawn.
And this is just one of the many streets that links its way through Hyde Park, and it just shows the different areas of where the Midway Plaza might have been located exactly. The World's Fair of 1893 was held here in Chicago, Illinois, on the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's landing in the New World. It was also called the World's Columbian Expo.
Chicago World's Fair was attended by 46 different nations. Among those, Katie sent delegate Frederick Douglass here. In the end, a total of 26 million people attended the World's Fair.
Welcome to the Museum of Science and Industry, formerly known as the Palace of Fine Arts. It was created in 1893 for the World's Fair. It is the only out of two things, it's the only thing that remains from the World's Fair that is still here to this day in Chicago. The 1893 World's Fair transformed Chicago into a great city. It was also called the White City. It was called the White City because of the white stucco they used to design many of the buildings around, and also because of the illumination of the streetlights.
Towards the end of the World Fair, tragedy struck as Mayor Carter Harrison was assassinated. In place of the closing ceremonies, a public memorial was held in his honor. After the World's Fair, Jackson Park returned to its former glory as a public park. Even more so that after the World's Fair, from its swampy nature, it turned into a more interactive and developed park.
During the 1893 World's Fair, there was a serial killer going around named H.H. Holmes. He killed more than 27 women, and he opened a hotel which is where he killed these women. He's one of the most notorious serial killers in the world.